What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in today. Another exciting episode for you guys. If you haven't seen my YouTube channel, please go check it out, Fishing with Nordbye. And I put a lot of videos out, especially here on Lake Guntersville. That's where we're at today. I'm out here with my dog Scout. Scout, come here. You gotta say hi to the viewers. Sit in. Pound it if we're gonna catch a big one today. Oh, Scout thinks we're gonna catch a big one. But we're out here today targeting docks. Docks work really well. I know you're excited to catch one. Fishing around docks works really well for bass, especially in the winter time, springtime transition. The fish are up shallow. They're getting ready to spawn. They're trying to find a good spot to spawn in the spring. So that transition, they're moving up. They're looking for cover. They're looking for structure, anything they can hide behind, ambush prey, and a lot of times docks are their first stop. So we're back up in here in a cove. I got some good looking docks behind me with some big old wooden poles going into the ground. Anytime you can find docks that have posts going all the way to the bottom of the lake, that is a great place to start. And we're gonna fish these, but I want to give you some tips on kind of the best 3 presentations for fishing docks in the spring, in the early spring. Water's still cold. It's in the 50s here on Lake Guntersville, and I just want to show you a few presentations that I like to use to fish docks, catch those big female largemouth full of eggs getting ready to move up and spawn. So let me show you some baits I use, and then we'll get to fishing. My first bait of choice is either going to be something I can drag on the bottom and skip all the way up under the dock. It's either going to be a jig or a Texas rigged worm. I got a jig tied on here. This one's actually a Trashmaster jig. You can get those on Shop Carl's with a Biospawn little crawl trailer. But I like skipping that up under the dock. You need a good reel you can skip with. You don't backlash much. This is a loose speed spool. I got on a 7.3 medium heavy rod. You want something with a little bend to it. Sometimes for skipping, guys like to use a little slower tip, something that bends a tiny bit more so you can really whip it up under those docks and you backlash less. My next bait of choice is either going to be a spinnerbait or a chatterbait. I got chatterbait tied on here with a little swim bait trailer, but I like fishing that around the edges of the docks, the dock pulls, windy docks. If wind's blowing into a dock, throw that chatterbait up in there and it's a great way to catch fish. And my third presentation is either going to be a weightless Senko or a weightless Fluke. Right now I got on a weightless Fluke because we're here on Guntersville. There's a ton of grass growing right around these docks, and the cool thing about the docks being there is it's shaded all the time. There's no sunlight and the grass doesn't have a chance to grow underneath the dock. So a lot of times the fish will sit right on that break where the grass stops and there's no grass under the dock. A lot of times there's shells, and you can throw a weightless Fluke right around the edges of that and just twitch it. Looks like a little dime bait fish. It's great to get some bites. So those are my top 3 presentations early spring when I'm fishing docks. We're gonna get started dragging a jig, maybe throwing that Fluke and chatterbait, and just see what happens. All right, Scout, let's catch this one. Hold up here. We got a big dock, and the reason I'm fishing kind of these 2 or 3 docks is they're the only ones on this whole side of the bank. That's another key. You got a transition bank. It goes from gravel, chunk rock, to a beach, which is very sandy. The fish like these hard bottoms in the springtime, and then it goes to a big dock. Just one dock over here on its own. So a lot of times isolated docks hold more fish than a bank with a ton of docks where you have to weed through and try to find the one they're holding on. If you go to one where there's only 1, 2, or 3 on the whole bank, a lot of times the fish will congregate under these docks. Just gonna fish this jig around here for a little bit. If we don't get any bites, we'll try another bait. But another key to fishing these docks, all these wooden poles are going all the way to the bottom, but you want to skip it as far back as you can up under there. And a lot of times the fish will sit kind of under the walkways too, especially where the bigger poles are or where constant shade will be. And you are going to get hung up. I already cast over the edge of the dock, which is terrible, but you are going to get hung up. Oh, one just picked it up. Yep, there he is. Let's go. Right on the edge of the dock there. Yes. Feisty. He's fat. Woo! All right, guys. First one of the day. Got a 3-pounder. Check that out. On the jig. Yep, that'll work. Green pumpkin. That's what I'm using. That guy's fat. Pretty fat. He's 3-pounder. He was right on the edge of the dock post. Right there. We'll take him. All right. See you, buddy. There he goes. He's cold. Man, this water's cold. Bye-bye. Awesome. So he's hanging out right on the end of the dock instead of back up behind there like they do sometimes. Just got to find out where they're sitting. A lot of times, if you're fishing a lot of docks, you can run a pattern. And if I caught him on the back side of the wind here, on the outside of the dock, the last pole, and the next couple docks down is likely they're going to be sitting in that same spot. Not always. Fish around, see where they're at, but a lot of times, once you find where they're positioned on the docks, you can go back and catch them in that same spot on other docks. I'm going to flip right to these poles again. It's about 4 or 5 feet deep right here. You can see the lake's a little low right now, so they sit on the deeper edge of the docks rather than up shallow here. Pull out a little bit when the water's low. We're going to switch it up a little bit. Try throwing that fluke around here. Got some even shallower spots back in here. And when it's super shallow, I like throwing this fluke up in there. Just twitch it around like a bait fish. Goes side to side, pause, twitch, 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 pause. It's kind of like fishing a little jerkbait, only it's weedless. And you want something weedless when you're fishing around docks. There's chatterbait around the corners. You want to look for bait fish too. If you're not in an area where you're seeing bait fish either flicker or on your graph, or just as you're fishing you're not seeing any activity, sometimes you need to move. Try new spots. There's been a bunch of bait fish over here lately. I just saw one top the water, a bass eating a bait fish. That's always a good sign. But the bass are going to be where the bait's at. Go try the next dock here. It's even longer than that first one I just fished. Comes out a little ways, a little deeper water. They might be on the end of it. Got caught on another dock. We'll go get it. Right on the edge of that wood. That's a problem with these wooden docks. You get caught a lot more than the ones with the metal poles, especially when you're using like a chatterbait, the open hook. But that's about the only way to fish this chatterbait. There's one. Yep. Oh, he's wrapped. He's wrapped around this post. We're going in after him. Swam behind it. Could be a giant. Oh, I still feel him kicking on there. Oh, a lot of times you keep pressure on them. We get behind those posts. Just gotta get on the back side. And he's really wrapped. Oh, he's not that big. Just a keeper. Little 15 inches all. He's got a big old black spot on his fin. Check that out. Woo! Got him on the fluke. Little guy, not bad. See ya. There we go. Just twitching that fluke around. Came out and nabbed it. Well, Scout, we caught us a couple. We didn't catch very many today, but a couple. We're only out here about an hour. I mainly wanted to give you guys some tips on fishing docks. If you fish some docks and you don't catch any, don't get discouraged. Try different baits. Make sure you're around the bait fish And if you're still not catching them, move to a different part of the lake. Try some docks in a different part of the lake, because fish always hang around docks almost year round, but especially in the springtime, shallow docks they move up on, get ready to spawn. When that water hits around 60-65 degrees, they're going to be up shallow wanting to spawn, and if there's some docks shallow with poles hitting the bottom, that's a perfect place for them to hide out and ambush bait until they're ready to spawn. So make sure you give some docks a try. Had a lot of fun out here on the lake today. Scout, you said we were gonna catch a big one. You fist bumped me, but that one was about 3 pounds, so he was a good one, but not a giant we were hoping for. But we're gonna get out of here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check mine out, Fishing with Nordbye, and we'll see you guys next time.